if you look at Kyle Shanahan's history, this is his longest stay anywhere. He lasted in Washington 4 years, 2 years in Houston, 2 years in Cleveland, 2 years in Cleveland, 2 years in Cleveland,
1 year. Didn't even
1 year
finish
in
the year.
Cleveland, 1 year in Cleveland, 2 years in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
5 years with the 49ers. And now people say it's ridiculous to think that he might not be back next year. Why hasn't Kyle Shanahan lasted in one place long?
I think for a lot of it is that he, other than Atlanta, he hasn't really had a whole lot of success anywhere that he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, he was okay. He was okay in Houston. I mean, they were 8-8 one year, 9-7 the other. He was okay. He got promoted up there to go to work with his dad, and they were awful in Washington, other than that one season. And I think that in Washington, he wasn't getting along with the owner there, and
Right.
so that's how he ended up in Cleveland. And even in Cleveland, he was only there for 15 games. He left before the final week of the season.
Right.
Because of, yeah, I think some of that had to do with a head coach that was a little more demanding than he wanted out of a head coach.
True.
Right. And he left Atlanta to come to the 49ers. So I mean, there's reasons to understand why he did that, but I think we're starting to see he's now in his leadership, in a real leadership position for the longest that he's been anywhere, and we're starting to see some cracks in the way that he does things and his personality.
I think a big difference between him and his dad is his dad had longevity. I mean, his dad was with Denver for like 3 decades with a little Raiders and 49ers sprinkled in. He was there in the 80s. He was there in the 90s. He was there in the 2000s. And Kyle hasn't had that at all. He's had much more of like a mercenary existence in the NFL. And I think the reason that I gave it away. The reason that Shanahan was such a made man and had such longevity in Denver was his relationship with John Elway. He was working with him when Elway was a young man. I mean, I think he was very close with John. And I don't think Kyle's developed that kind of a relationship with any quarterback ever.
Sure. Yeah. And Mike Shanahan, he was blessed with everywhere he went with quarterbacks, other than his short stint in,
he got to work with Steve Young.
Yeah. He worked he started off working with John Elway. He kind of got stuck there with the Raiders for a year, whatever that was. And then he goes to the 49ers. Yeah. And, he goes to the 49ers. He's working with Steve Young, and then he goes back and he wins a couple Super Bowls with John Elway, and his career's made. And
Right.
the closest Kyle came to that was with the one season with Matt Ryan. And he's come here and he hasn't shown the ability to really get the best out of a quarterback yet. I think. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, he was already developed by the time he got him. He got a lot out of him, but Garoppolo also came in and won 5 games without knowing the offense.
Right. And I don't think Kyle's ever really put a premium on like developing a long-term relationship with the quarterback, because I think Kyle's always been trying to get to the next. He's very ambitious. He had that one good year in Houston in 2009, and he leveraged it to go. Was it an upgrade to get a promotion to work with his dad? And he would have worked there a long time. I'm sure he would have loved to, but they failed. They got ran out of town. I think probably they think unfairly, but they failed. RG3 got hurt. They got ran out of town. He hated working in Cleveland. I mean, you remember how low his stock was when he had to go to Cleveland and work for Pettin, and then he begged him to let him go. I mean, he's put like a PowerPoint presentation of like a million reasons why it would be in your best interest to let me leave. So he leaves, goes to Atlanta, has one good year, not two, one good year, and leverages that for a promotion. And now there's nowhere else to go. There's no more promotion. He has all the control he could possibly get in an organization, and he still can't pick a quarterback.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I know that if he leaves, he's going to have options in other places, but he's kind of at the end of the line, because it's going to be this same cycle probably repeated over if he goes somewhere else.
Right, and he's not going to. If he goes somewhere else, he'll get a lot of money. He'll be a head coach, but no one will say, "Just here's the keys to the organization. You did such a good job with the 49ers. Do that. Just whatever you did there, do that here." Like no, like what people say, "Hey, Shanahan, the GM, got Shanahan, the head coach, fired in San Francisco. That's a bad organization. They put too much on his plate. We can help you do what you do." That's what's going to happen. And I don't think he wants that. I think what he wants is what his dad wanted, was total control over an organization. You're going to get that here, Kyle. So pick a freaking quarterback and act like you like him. Your dad
yeah,
did.
yeah, and I think
He
that
hit
the tough.
Elway. He hit Elway.
Yeah, well, he had Elway,
You
and
know, and
he had Elway. That was his best time. He had some success with Jake Plummer too, but still nothing close to what he had with
he
John
also
Elway.
had Brian Greasy, who I can't freaking stand.
Hmm.
He's one of these analysts who's smart, but he says really simple things. It tries to make simple things seem profound, as opposed to people who can make profound things seem simple. And he has no sense of humor, 0 cent, deathly serious. And anytime someone on the Louis Riddick tries to bring a little levity, Greasy cuts him down. I can't stand Brian Greasy. Anyway, sorry, you might like him. Not my style.
I don't. I hardly watch Monday Night Football
I remember
anymore.
you. Who the hell were you, Brian?
Yeah, right.
Him and
Exactly.
Dan Orlovsky have these really, really hard, and JT O'Sullivan really has like, the highest standards for quarterback. I remember you guys. Dan, you ran out of bounds. JT, you were terrible. Sorry. Be a little nicer.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that
Who
one.
are you? They could be like, well, this is sorry, Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. The Kyle Shanahan thing's interesting too, because he came to the 49ers as a genius, and I saw you put this up there today, and it's something that I've talked about quite a bit. The guy never had a track record of success anywhere that he went, and there's so many excuses that
sustained success, which is what you need. It's what McVay had in Washington. It's what he has now in LA. Like 2 years in a row where you were good. Show me that. 2 years
exactly.
in a row.
Yeah, give me some, and he's never done it, and he's only been in the top half, like you said, 4 times. That's the number we've talked about.
He's at 17 right now.
Yeah,
and
he's been at
better.
He's been at 17 a couple of times, and Jesse had a thing where I think it was the top 20, better than top 20 only a handful of times. He's been 20th the worst, I think, like 8 times or something like that in his career. It's really not, and we've gone back and forth on this a few times as far as how what helps him with his status among the coaches in the NFL, but he just hasn't had the success, and that's a guy like Brian Dable. He's at least had 3 years of success, sustained success.
That's right. That's a big deal compared to Kyle's the kind of guy where he goes. I don't know. He has like one good year. He's a salesman. He has one good year, goes to the next company, gets cashes in, gets the promote, gets the next company be like, man, we want that guy. We'll give you a raise. Thank you. I want the raise. I'm going there. And then you disappoint for freaking 2 years. And they're like, man, this guy, we shouldn't have hired this guy. Then right before they fire, you're like, oh, wait. One good year. And then they're like, oh, nice. You're like, well, I'm leaving. I'm going over there because they're impressed. And you just keep doing it forever. Great, dude. Make that money. You've made like $100 million in America. That's great, man. But Jed, is that the coach for you?
That's an excellent point. You see that all the time in sales, right? You see the guy that's a sales guy, he hits his number like once or twice really good, and then pretty soon he gets his name known around the industry, and before you know it, he just bounces around from company to company because everybody thinks he's good.
Place. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that could be Kyle. I mean, why not? But that's not what you're looking for in a head coach. Maybe that's his mentality. I'm in and out.
No, it's you can't do that as a head coach, especially now in year 5, and he's got 5 more years left on his contract or so, whatever it is.
I think that's going to be what he's going to have many more teams that he can be the head coach of. Maybe 2 more. He might be the guy who gets 3 chances, but I think he'll be an offensive coordinator when he's 70. He's going to be around forever. An NFL lifer, and he's going to be on like every team at some point. You'll see him on the Lions. You'll see him on Baltimore. I mean, he's going to be he's going to get it, and he's going to be good. I mean, he's dedicated. He's smart. He's got his dad. He's got a network. But dude, he's going to be around. He's going to be bouncing around. I think that's what I think.
He definitely has. It definitely seems like that type of a person.
He'll last longer than say Mariucci did. Mariucci was legitimately a better head coach than Kyle. Mariucci won with 2 different quarterbacks, but he wasn't as good of an he couldn't leave and go do it again somewhere else. Kyle could probably bounce around and have a good offense. I mean, like for example, Mariucci couldn't overcome the Lions. No one can. Maybe Kyle could go to the Lions and have one good year, one time, and get him a bunch of money for it.
Yeah, Mariucci is funny to bring him up. That's actually a name that I brought up last night when I was talking with somebody. Is Mariucci is kind of the opposite of Shanahan, in that he's a guy that showed sustained success as a quarterback coach or whatever his role was with the Packers, but before he went into the NFL, he took that leadership role at Cal, and he was there for a year. When he started off at Cal, he was the hot guy because they came out and they were winning a bunch of games. They ended up kind of falling flat on their face.
6, I think, something like that. 500, yeah.
Yeah, they ended up at 6-6 at the end of the year.
It was freaking Cal.
Yeah, they ended up at 6-6, and then he got the job. He was the hot name on the market, and
because he had coached under Holmgren, I think.
He did. It was home. Correct. Holmgren was the head coach. Reed was the offensive coordinator, and he was right underneath Reed. And so he had that track record of success. He had that one landing spot where he was able to learn how to be a head coach and everything that goes into being a head coach before he became one. And that's the same thing. Bill Walsh had that same thing before he came to the 49ers. And it's Shanahan he never had that, and he didn't have the sustained success, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think everyone just assumed, well, his dad was a head coach, so Kyle doesn't need that experience. He'll just osmosis. His dad was a head coach. Now he's got it. Yeah. Well, his dad had John Elway. There were some. His dad wasn't really. His dad was a lot like John Gruden. The difference between Mike Shanahan and John Gruden is John Elway.
Oh yeah,
I mean, look at Shanahan's record without Elway.
Yeah,
I know my internet connection's kind of crapping out. I don't know what happened.